Hello and welcome to another Office Hours in the VTEX Developers YouTube channel. You might be wondering, where is Alex? He's in well-deserved vacation. So here I am, George Brindero, Head of Education Documentation here at VTEX, to welcome you to another event. Now, let's get started. So the first section of Office Hours, as you may know, is the announcements section. And this is where we bring you the latest and greatest news that are relevant to you as a VTEX developer. And the first one is about Store Framework. We have the shelf-related products block. And this is a shelf that's able to show you things like similar products or who bought a certain product, bought this other product, so product recommendations. And currently the status we have is that shelf-related products is deprecated. What does that mean? It means that we decided that the way that this component was created was no longer the best way to move forward, so we won't be updating it. That doesn't mean you can't use it anymore. Of course you can. So if you need this in your stores, feel free to keep using it. But soon we'll be providing other alternatives for you to build this and other suggested product shelves. So one of the reasons why this is that this older shelf product shelf block uses our older search APIs. So if you're using VTEX Intelligent Search, for instance, our product recommendations won't be drawn from that. So that is kind of getting in the way. So we decided to stop advancing this. We'll soon have news about how to have better recommendations in your stores. Now for the next piece of news, we replaced the capture term in our payment provider protocol documentation for settlement. And that was because we understood that for some payment methods, that capture term, that means like the money was actually being captured from the shopper to your store, wasn't exactly precise. So for to make it clearer and to avoid ambiguity, we changed that for settlement, which means that the transaction was completed, but not necessarily the money was available yet. So that's a slight difference. Make sure to check out our documentation was all updated with that new terminology. So if you expect that capture term, if you're searching for that term, if you don't find it, that's why. Don't feel afraid, it'll be fine. It's just a little word to make things clearer for our payment provider integrators. And for the next piece of news, we're really happy to be back with VTEX Day. VTEX Day, if you don't know it, you should get to know it. It's the biggest e-commerce event in Latin America. I think it's the third biggest event in the world. We do it every year, but since we got into this pandemic, unfortunately, we weren't able to do it for 3 years, and now we're back. And we'll have a really special hackathon in VTEX Day. Invite only this time, but maybe we'll have some virtual events for you guys on the other side real soon. And in this hackathon, we'll be exploring our new storefront technology, Fast Store. The teams will be working together to build community starters, so store themes that are focused on specific market verticals like pets, toys, books, and all kinds of things. So that will definitely give back to the community and help you get that head start on getting into Fast Store. It's not available for everyone yet, but once it's available, you'll be able to take advantage of that. So that's awesome. And if you're not here with us in VTEX Day, you won't miss it. We'll have a live transmission on YouTube. You can check it out and see how the teams are going, cheer for them, and see who wins, what's the evolution we're having late into the night. It's already available on our YouTube channel, so make sure to check it out and subscribe for updates so that you'll be able to watch it live next week. I think it'll be on Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, so that's it for our updates for this month. If you want to keep updated and check out the latest news, don't forget to go to developers.vtex.com/changelog. Now for the second part of this event, one of my favorite sections, Ask the Community. That's where we answer your questions, the questions you posted on the VTEX Community, especially the ones with the Office Hours tag. And for the first question, I'd like to call upon my dear friend, Vitor Miranda. He's one of our soft engineers in the store framework team. Hey, Vitor.
Hey, George. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
This is a bit new to me. This is the first time I'm participating in the global office hours, and I'm also like helping with the backstage. So that's why the transmission might be a bit weird.
Don't worry about it. I'll help you out.
Awesome, thanks. So let's get to the first question, right? Uh, okay, awesome. So the first question is about conditional templates in the CMS or pages regarding the site editor, right? So Alice here wanting to know, like, okay, how can I add certain templates based on a certain condition for a certain route, right? Okay, so usually the way you would go about doing this is you just go to the pages section on the admin as like she's showing here, and then you have like certain conditions. And for now, we pretty much only support the date condition, as Mari answered here. Um, but then like if you need something a bit more custom, like Alice actually wanted here, like, oh, I know how to create new custom pages, awesome. However, we wanted to explore how we can use different templates for the same URL path in the CMS pages on the basis of some condition like brand ID, category ID, etc. Okay, and as Mari said, like we don't support that on the pages, the site editor pages section, okay? But there's something like that might solve your problem. So I'll just show to everyone, like, because maybe someone has the same doubt. It's not quite like you cannot like just change the whole template, but you can conditionally render like certain sections of your page based on a few conditions regarding for example, the products that are being shown in the product page. And to do that, we have an app that's called Condition Layout. This one, VTEX.condition layout, 2x because it's in the second major. You will see a little notice here, but no worries. This is just letting you know that if you were using the major one, there is now a major two, and we are actively maintaining the major two. So please use the major two. It's the one in master. Like if you're trying to install it, it's gonna be the major two. So no worries there. Okay, so what does this do? This app allows you to render certain blocks, like it expects children, right? And then you can render blocks conditionally. For example, we have a condition layout dot product, and then we have a condition layout dot binding and a condition layout dot category. This is like if you use a condition layout dot product, you can render blocks based on a certain condition that you can like just declare based on a certain condition that depends on the current product being shown. So this is, for example, very useful um, if you're trying to use like, oh yeah, this might help. If you're trying to use something like um, I don't know, like I want to render this if the product is is from a certain category for a certain collection. You can use like the condition layout product or the condition layout category. And the condition layout binding works kind of the same way. Like I only want to show this if the user has this active binding, and so forth and so on. Like there are some examples here in the documentation, and I encourage you to try it out, see if this solves your problem. Um, this just has to be like in the React tree, and then it accepts children, just as here. And you can tell it like, oh, if this is true, render this. If it's not, render this. Okay, so that might be useful for you. That's the closest we can do to like actually rendering templates because we can't actually render the templates. Okay.
Victor, just
Yeah.
to make it clear to
Yeah.
our viewers,
Yeah.
what is a binding? You said you could conditionally display things according to the binding, but what is that used for?
Oh, okay. Awesome. All right. Binding is something that we use to kind of identify like usually it's related to what's the active sales channel for the store, what's the active locale for the store. This is usually being used, and it's useful for stores that, for example, sell in multiple countries, or for example, you have a single account that's like I don't know, Motorola, and then you can have like different versions of the store for different bindings, but using the same account.
So, for
Um,
instance, a multi-language or a cross-border store would qualify for,
yes,
like, so if you
yes,
want to conditionally show, like, if you're in Spain, you want to show a Spain flag. If you're in Brazil, you want to show a Brazil flag, something like that. You could conditionally show that with the condition layout.
yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Let's move on to the next one.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so
The next one is a bit more practical. This is pretty cool.
okay, so how to add debugger breakpoint to Node.js file. So Satya is asking you, that please enlighten us with your knowledge. How do we add debugger breakpoints for our Node.js files? I'm able to debug the React components by placing the breakpoint in the sources tab in Chrome Developer Console. Is there a way that I can debug the Node TypeScript components? Thanks in advance. So let me add your screen. Go ahead.
Yes, awesome. So first off, yes, there is just a bit of clarification. Like, I can debug no TypeScript components. Like no services running on VTEX.io. So yes, the basic answer is yes, you can. Let me just switch tabs. Can I switch tabs here? Nope, not what I was looking for. Oh, I think it's this. Yes. So just real quick, I'm gonna like go back to the browser, but like I just wanted to show you this. Yes, you can do that, and it's pretty simple. Like if you have any Node application, right? So for example, here, this is on my terminal, you can see the like a bunch of output, right? But this is just because I have a Node application linked currently. Like if I kill this, you can see that like this is the search resolver. It probably looks pretty small, right? That should
It's
be
okay
better.
right now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. This is the search resolver app, like which just comes from. This is the app responsible for like every time you make any query to the search GraphQL, the search resolver is the app that like actually solves the query and then returns it. All right. So this is a basic Node app. Like if I show you what is inside of it, it's like a Node modules and everything. So okay, this is a Node app. If you just like run VTEX link on it, um, I'm already on a development workspace, by the way, just to like make sure like it's here, right? Store components, and Victor Miranda is the name of my workspace. This is gonna build and then like finish the link and everything. And it's gonna tell you that like, oh, no debugger available on port, blah blah. I don't remember the number of the port, but that's not that important. Like, it's gonna tell you like, okay, app running, and yes, this is what I was looking for. Debugger tunnel listening on port 9229, and go to Chrome inspect in Google Chrome to debug your running application. So this is pretty cool. Like every time you do that, you can come here. Just to show you, this is Chrome inspect. Like you just go to Chrome, um, and then like / inspect, and you will see this page. If you don't have a Node application, yes, exactly. If you don't have a Node application linked, like this is gonna show you nothing. Like there won't be any remote target. But if you saw this message, where's the message? Here. If you saw this message, you will find it on this port. Like it will appear here. And then if you click on inspect, it's gonna open like the Chrome developer tools that you already know, right? So this is linked to my running Node application. So for example, if I go here and do this, this is just a page, right? I just have it this open because I wanted to refresh the page. And then if I refresh the page, like a bunch of calls will be made to, okay, I don't know why it's not refreshing. I'm pretty sure I can do this from here. Oh, why is it not refreshing? Oh, okay, there we go.
It wasn't refreshing because we're watching. That's the way that things work.
Exactly. Okay, so from there, wait. Yes, you can see that like if I have my terminal open, I will see a bunch of like logs, right? Because a bunch of requests are being made to the Node app while my page is being loaded, right? These requests are actually showing up here. Like this is the same. This is the same thing, right? This is the same terminal. It's just that like I already have this open, so I opened the other one. It's not gonna like print out the exit for both of them. Okay, it's only gonna show you one. But here we go. Like this is exactly the same exit as you would have on like the terminal, right? This is the same thing that we're getting. Okay, so like now you have a way to like work with your app inside here. And if I come here and try to open a file like index.js, yeah, I don't think this one is working quite right. I'm gonna use the one I already had open, this one. If you come here like in sources, you have exactly the same thing that the question told us, right? Like, okay, I can do this with a front-end app, yes, but you can also do this with a Node application. Like, for example, if I wanted like index.ts file inside my Node utils file, there you go. Like you have access to that file and you can place breakpoints and everything, and then just run the code and it's gonna break. Like the same thing as same thing that you can do on a front-end application, you can do with a Node application as well. You just have to like go to the Chrome inspect and then open it, and it's gonna work just as you expected. Okay, I think that's pretty cool. So there you go. That's how you actually do that, and we use that like internally all the time because it makes our life so much easier. There's another way that you can do that as well. I'm like just quickly gonna show you, not like actually doing it, but just to show you how it is. This also works with front-end applications, but like you can just say debugger, like right on the code. If you have access to the code, you can just say like debugger. And then if you save this, it's gonna link, and then the code will break there because Chrome DevTools will understand that like it should break there. Okay, there you go. So that's what I had for this question. And so that's pretty much how you can debug Node applications. How can you can add breakpoints, and how can you inspect the files inside of a Node application? That's how. Okay, awesome. Now I have one more question, which is about the search results layout prop pagination. Yes, because we have like as Marcus asked here, like there's a in the search results layout, we accept a prop that's called show more, right? Or no, sorry, that's called pagination, and this pretty much allows you to choose like what's the pagination style that you want to show in the search result layout. So pretty much if you want like to have like a show more button at the bottom, or if you want like this the regular pagination, or like we used to support as well, but now we strongly recommend that you do not use it. We had also a infinite scroll mode, right? And this is actually what she was trying to do here. Like she tried to use the value infinite scroll with the show more, and there's no documentation for it because we strongly we're advising against you using the like infinite scroll pagination mode. Like just use the default one or the show more. The show more is usually like what we prefer and what we recommend the most. There's like Saito left a very nice link here to our release notes that was quite a while ago. I think I have it here. Yes. And what we did was pretty much we deprecated the value for the value of infinite scroll, and this was like this decision was taken because we came to the conclusion that the infinite scroll configuration just results in like a bad user experience because the user like kind of is trapped on an infinite loop of like trying to reach the source footer and not actually being able to, because like more products are going to pop up, like as far as the search can go, right? And like after a bit of research done by our designers and everything, like we came to the conclusion that we wanted to deprecate this to not encourage you to use it. So yeah, like don't we we recommend that you do not use the infinite scroll mode and just stick to the show more button as like recommended this is the recommended one. Okay. So that was it. Like I just wanted to provide a bit more context on like why the infinite scroll mode doesn't work. And the pagination prop is working as expected. Like if you try to change it to show more or any other supported value apart from infinite scroll, you will get it to work. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to provide a bit more context on the search result layout prop, the pagination prop.
That was really
Awesome.
useful, Miranda. Thanks a lot for your context. I'll take it from here. We have a few more questions before we move on to the next session. Give you some time off. Help me out in the backstage. All right. So the next question is also by Mariana. So Mariana is being very active in the community. Thanks a lot for the other question. And that was a tricky one, although very simple. Customizing login spinner colors. So she wanted to know how could she change the color of the login spinner in the store theme. Okay, so just so you get an idea of what she was talking about, store theme is available here in VTEX apps um, store theme. And that's usually where developers start off. There's Victor. Store theme is the boilerplate theme to start stores in VTEX VTEX IO or store framework, right? And what I did right now was just I downloaded that code and I ran VTEX link in my account in a development workspace, George Brindero, in account store components. So that's why here I have a live version of that theme that I can, browse through and so on. So my workspace and my account. And she was wondering about this. So how can she get this to become something else, another color, the big mystery? And one of the things that is really tricky about that is that usually you can, inspect element on something that's static and maybe, get an idea of the CSS classes that are behind this and try to do something about it. But for this, it's kind of like not stopping. So it's hard for you to even get the CSS class. So back to the question, like initially I shared our usual styling documentation where we talk about uh, basic colors that can be defined, like to set a default style for all store components. So we have this concept of semantic colors or setting a style for a specific component, etc. But yeah, she didn't find that component. She didn't know the CSS handles, so she was pretty much lost. Yeah, she said like I reviewed the documentation, but I can't locate the element with this inspector. I can't get information about the tag-in classes. So I had this information because I was privileged. I was able to reach out to the developer who actually built it, and he said like, "Hey, just check out the text icon spinner." But yeah, it wasn't as easy. So one of the things I had to do was, of course, reach out, and now we have this information. But also, I used getting back to the debugger topic that was touching before. I used the debugger to pause my code, and then I could check out the spinner. So let's do that just real quick. Let me open DevTools and see if I can do it live. It's been a while, but yeah, pretty much I just went here in my sources. If I do this, I could just quickly pause. Yeah, now it's paused. I think what I did was I did a search here for login. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I remember I added a breakpoint and I was able to find the source file. And this source file was, oh, here it is, login. Right. Yeah, so I went through this code try to understand what was going on here. At some point, I found the actual React component. I think it was here. Gone. So there's header login. Yeah, and I just, what I did was, hey, let me see where this goes, where I can find this. I could add some breakpoints, for instance, like this, just clicking, and then at a certain point, I got to the answer, which was this. There are two ways for us to do this. So I understood this was the VTEX login app. If I unpause it here, I can actually inspect here. And by doing this, you can see on the CSS handles here, so we always add the name of the vendor and then the app and then the version. So I knew this was VTEX login 2.x. Of course, the loading state was different from what the actual pop-up was, but that gave me a little bit more insight. So I could go here in the sources and this is just searching inside my source code, right? I had to actually do this. But then I can look into here and figure out where things were. But this only happens if you're linking in a development workspace, all right? If you're trying to inspect in an actual live store, you won't have access to that because we bundle it, we minify it, we do all that crazy stuff to avoid sharing your code fully and making it a little bit more performatic. But either way, there are two ways I found to style it. You could either go into store theme, create a new CSS file like this in store theme. So styles-css-vtexlogin.css. That's a way for you to create CSS code just scoped to VTEX login. And then I just added this. So it's a global color for only the spinner. That would change the color for my spinner. Let me try to do it live. So I always want to do things live and then I mess up in front of you guys, make a fool of myself, but this is actually better, right? Just not telling you what to do, actually doing it. So here's my VS Code. And this is what I asked you to do, right? So let me do it. So in styles, CSS, oh, I actually have this already because I did it. So in my actual store, it was running already. So it's, where is it here? So this is this blue? Yeah, this is blue. If I wanted to make it red, do this. And it's hot reloading. That's why this is doing that. This is doing, okay, so new version. I think I have to reload the page either way. Let's see if maybe I have some cache here or something. I should be seeing the red spinner now. Yeah, there it is. So that's one way for you to do it. The other way for you to do it is if you do the semantic colors way to do it and you change text emphasis, that will affect the spinner, but it'll also affect a bunch of other things that use that. So usually you want to use semantic colors if that's kind of like the general color of your store and you want to change a bunch of things that are related, go ahead. But if you want to just change the spinner for some reason, that's how you do it. And that was very useful for her. So happy to help, Mariana. And let's move on to the next question then. So how can I properly make a store migration from legacy CMS to VTEX.io store framework? So this is not very usual in the US or in Europe, where stores are usually deployed in store framework right away. But Marinho here is from Brazil, and he's using legacy CMS. He wants to migrate to store framework, and he's a little bit confused because things are a little bit different, right? So he went through the tutorials, he installed VTEX store, but then in his perspective, this command deletes his homepage, changes it to the new default app page from store framework. And now he's like, okay, so what am I doing here? And I actually got some help from Fernanda. She's in our team. Thanks, Fernanda, for helping out. She said that the best way to migrate the content for if your e-commerce is live, so you already have a store in legacy CMS, you want to change it to VTEX.io, you can create a production workspace. And if you just Google production workspace VTEX, you'll figure out what that is. It's a workspace that can actually get real traffic in your store. So one of the things that's great about VTEX.io is that you can do A/B testing, so you can have multiple versions of your store and direct traffic according to certain percentages you define. So if you have a production workspace, people can actually use it, and once you have that production workspace, every workspace can have different apps, different themes installed, and that's fine. So once you're all done, and you can have 0% real traffic there, by the way. So it can work as if a development workspace in a certain sense, to certain limitations. Like the code is minified, unlike a development workspace, but you can have it running and test it out and develop everything you want and gradually adjust the production percentages as you wish. If you're coming from legacy CMS, this needs to be done with our support team. So open a support ticket to ask for that. But we can do that A/B testing, both from legacy CMS to store framework or between different versions of your store. So suppose you have a current version and you're doing like a redesign. That's also something you can leverage doing A/B testing. You can definitely check out this as well. Performing A/B testing between store versions. This is useful for you to understand a little bit more about this context. So I hope that was useful context for you. Let's move on to the last question, and soon we'll have a nice demo. So don't leave, stick with us. So this final question was asked by Karishma. Thanks, Karishma, for your question. They were asking, showing banners in between search results. So they wanted to show the banners between search results. They had this idea where you'd have a shelf, and then you'd have a banner in the middle, and then you have another shelf, and then a banner in the middle. And this wasn't really clear how they could do it. So Sophia from our Europe team also helped me out. Thanks, Sophia, for pitching in. Said like, hey, you could add a flex layout and then declare a banner, and then you could have that banner on top of your PLP. But turns out that what Sophia understood wasn't exactly what Karishma wanted. So a flex layout would be a way for you to, besides the results, add a banner on top, for instance. But they wanted to show the banner in between the search results. So consider you have 12 products, and then you want to show 6 products, and then a banner, and then 6 products and a banner, etc. So this is kind of what they wanted to do. Let me try to zoom in here. So a little bit different. And yeah, for that to be able to happen, they would have to develop a custom app to have this behavior. Our native component displays the search result continuously, so can really do that without a lot of custom development. And to be honest, that's the kind of thing you need to be very critical about, right? Don't implement things just because your boss tells you to, or because someone says, like, this is a great idea. Like, think about the business. You're developing, but you're also thinking about, like, what is the benefit of having that? It's non-standard. Would that create friction? Is there another way you can achieve the same result without affecting the search results? So that's something to think about. Also, it's important to remember that in VTEX apps, just like we have the store theme and we have other things, we also have the store repository. That's where a lot of the glue that comes with the, where is it? Is it in, Victor, help me out here. Is it in VTEX apps or VTEX?
Yeah, it's in VTEX App. Yeah, it's easier to just go straight to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we just haven't done anything there in a while, right? 29 days. Okay. Well, thanks, Victor. This is what actually builds the pages. So this is what creates that blocks logic you might be familiar with. So if you're wondering how it actually works, go ahead, check it out. Go into the code, learn more about it. Like what's store, what's the React page, and there's a lot of stuff that you can understand, like product wrapper, search wrapper. This is the kind of stuff that actually builds the page. So you don't need to limit yourself to the store theme code. You can dive deeper and understand how we abstract away the React code for you. So that was it for questions today. Remember that if you want to get your question featured on office hours, you can always post on VTEX Community. That's community.vtex.com. Add the office hours tag. That helps us identify that you want to make, you know, you want your question to be answered. You want your question to be answered live on YouTube. So you can add that extra sauce, extra information. And yeah, we'll be happy to answer your questions. So now we're in the last section of our event, and that's demo time. It's that space where we call upon people from the ecosystem, either from the VTEX team or from our customers or from partner agencies, to share knowledge. So that's where you can show off the stores you've been working on or the apps you've been working on. And for today, I'm really happy to call Santiago Sanz. He's a software engineer in our regional product team, Western Europe, and he has a demo. It's cross-device cart. Hey, Santiago.
Hey everyone, hey George, thank you for letting me showcase this. I will show something first, the concept of the application we develop here. It's called cross-device cards.
Okay.
Remember one thing in VTEX is that every time you open a store, even if it is in Chrome, Safari, Incognito, or in mobile, a new session is created for your browser session. This session has the information, for example, the region you are, the locale, etc. A lot of information, particularly for your current session. And one thing that is also created in this instance is a new order form. So imagine you want to start your cart in a device and follow it up in another device. For example, your tablet. The problem with VTEX and the session is that a new order form will be created even though I'm the same person. So to overcome this, we thought about it in a way of letting customers have only one order form automatically or by choice. In this case, the application works only for logged in users. So I will showcase it right now. In this example, I'm logged in this account, VTEX Spain, and I will quickly add a product. So for example, this will be my first session. And imagine I will simulate this, even though it's also Chrome. But you could see that in this session, I'm not logged in. So even though I'm me, I'm an anonymous user. So in this case, sorry, I will need to delete the cookies for this. I was testing out before. So what I'm asking right now to VTEX is a new order form, so I can simulate this. But in the case of a new user, the flow will be being able to log in again. This is because to know to whom the order form belongs, the only way is to store it somewhere. And we are storing it using the user ID reference. So for example, when I log in here manually, so I have my settings as manual, you will be prompted to if it wants to work. Amazing.
That's the negation field, right? When we're demoing, things don't work exactly as we wanted.
But it's amazing. It's amazing because I just tested it out before. Let me see. Maybe it was because I deleted the item.
While you're setting it up, let me just give some more context to the folks watching.
Of course.
So this is a very interesting application, right? You have something in your desktop, you don't want to keep shopping your tablet or your mobile device. How do you make sure that this is a seamless experience? And one of the things that's really nice about VTEX is that you can actually reload any cart in any place just by using the order form ID. But the trick here is, how do you kind of link the session to that order form, and how do you reload that in a smart way, right, Santi? So this is what your app is doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So right now you can see, even though I'm in a different session, I'm in incognito here, I share the same card automatically. And now the mini card doesn't want to load, but you can potentially see if you go to the checkout. That I'm sharing the same. Oh,
Yeah, maybe we're having some issues with the cookies there. But tell me a little bit more about what's happening behind the scenes. So
yes.
you mentioned the manual and the automatic modes.
Yes, we have a page
what is
for
manual,
settings. The manual is because we don't want to make this as always seamless. We want to let the user know what's going on with the card they leave behind on other sessions. So that's why we put a manual option for the application. This should render. Give me a second. I will try again here. This should render an action bar for the user to choose if they want to recover their card or not. By doing that, there's something called strategies. Here we put replace, add, and combine. These are the strategies, the default ones, on how the items inside the card will be resolved. Because maybe
the person will have items in the cart before they log in.
Exactly. So that's what I want to showcase here by adding this. Let me try it again here. So
that's smart. I just thought about the replace one, but I didn't think about add and combine.
Yeah, exactly. That was our also main point. This is something you can choose here. I will show how you can potentially create interfaces for settings instead of using the configuration builder, because this is something we created manually. But let me see if at last it can work. Third time is a charm.
Okay, so walk me through what you're doing. You have two browser windows. One of them is incognito. The other one isn't. You're logged into the same account.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to log in, and the application should load the order form that was stored, and will corroborate with the settings if you want to replace, add, or combine, and if the setting is as manual or automatic.
So you told me that a pop-up should appear for the user, like, hey, do you want to recover your products from your last session, something like that?
Yeah, but it seems it works so good that it's keeping it synchronized. So you can see that even here, it deleted the Motorola item I had in the cart. For some reason, I'm not being able to delete my cookie, so I can reset the order form. So you can.
How about we could try it a different way? Like, I could open it here on my computer and we could compare it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, totally. Let's see. So for example, I will add it again to my account.
Okay. But I'm actually opening the same URL here on my computer.
Yeah. This one, cross cart, right?
Yeah. Awesome. I need you to share I'm gonna need the login code, right? Once I log in here. What's the email you're using?
It's santiago.sanz@vtex.com.br.
Okay, let me try doing that, and then we'll switch over to. So I'll show my screen just so people know that things are. We don't have that here, and then we'll.
Yeah, I can share you with the code.
So I'm gonna log in right now. let me just switch over to mine so people know I'm not cheating. So it's Santiago-Sanz at VTEX.com. And then let's see code there.
There it goes.
Okay, let's switch to my screen. There it is. Cool. Okay, so I'm logged in and I have.
There it goes. So you have nothing.
Nothing for now.
You could potentially now add something, but look at the action bar on top.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
that you left your card on another device. This is the manual one.
Okay.
So if you press do it, you will get your order form. So right now, if you imagine, go and add, go into the search and write coco or leche or borsa, whatever item for you to have another item.
And I'll just add that to the cart, and we'll see it on your.
Then you can. I can show my screen, and you will see that my order form is synchronized with yours.
Okay, so I just added leche de coco.
Yeah.
I think your screen is still in StreamYard, but yeah, now let me add it here. This is your screen. And let's check out your order form, I think, right?
Yeah.
You're not logged in yet, right? And that,
I'm refreshing. I don't know, it's a little slow right now. It's still loading.
Yeah, we're streaming that happens.
There is good. And now you can see
like magic.
Yeah, it's because we're sharing the same order form ID. So even though our sessions are different, because your session, even you are using my own account, right? But the session itself is totally different. But the order form is stored in a cookie called checkout.com, checkout.vtex.com. That's what we are trying to modify. And I'm gonna show a little of the code because there are a couple of problems we have trying to solve this, because it's not that easy only to modify the cookie. There are a lot of little things we needed to take a look upon. For example, to overcome this, we are just using the response in Node to set a cookie, the header for set cookie, and we are setting the checkout.vtex.com cookie for the order form ID. That's the only thing we're doing. But the first issue we came across was that even though almost everyone is using checkout VTEX.io, we have two order forms, the legacy one and the new one that is being managed by the checkout GraphQL. So every interaction in the store is not managed directly through the API of the checkout, but instead through the GraphQL of the checkout application. So this gave us the problem that when you wanted to bring back the items by adding or combining, the problem was that the images were broken. That's because we were trying to hit the checkout API directly instead of using the GraphQL. So one neat thing about our ecosystem is that we could create clients that extend other applications that are using GraphQL. So in this instance, I created a client for the checkout, and instead of using the checkout client that exists right now, I'm using this as a proxy. So for example, instead of using the instance of HTTP to communicate with the API, I'm using actually GraphQL and passing the query to get the order form items. That's a little trick that you can do with our services out of the box without any configuration whatsoever. So this is pretty cool in VTEX. And another of our problems was what happens if you are cross-device carting, right? But in a particular device, you actually fulfill the cart. What happens with the order form itself? Because that's the problem. The order form in the registry in VTEX is fulfilled. Someone bought something with that order form. So potentially you shouldn't have the same order form to be able to be offered for you. Like, I already bought with this cart. Why you are offering me again?
So it's like the actual cart. If you think about the physical world, it's like the actual cart just went through the checkout and it's gone. It's no longer existent, right?
Exactly. And sadly, that was a problem we had. But this is another neat thing about the VTEX IO ecosystem, that we can potentially listen to events, and we can also create them. But particularly, there is an application called the Orders Broadcast. This is the hook V3 for listening to changing orders after they are fulfilled. And one of the topics is order created. So potentially we can listen to the event of an order creation and specifically run a middleware. In this case, we listen to every order created and we double check if the order ID, if the order form ID is stored as a reference for the specific user. This is all the information we already have. We are not creating information. Like the order ID and the order form ID are already stored in VTEX. So we are just using the OMS to get the order itself and then get the order form ID. And the user profile ID is stored in the order itself. So how we are leveraging the use of VBase, there is a really neat place to store and read data fast. And we use the bucket as the app name, and the path, we are using the user profile ID. So every user potentially has one document stored with the definition of the order form. So if they are both the same, we just delete it. So we are always synchronized with the user behavior.
So you're using VBase as the key value storage so that you can, every time the user logs in, they'll say like, hey, do you have a cart that's there available for you? If there is, just load it.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. That's why we need the user to be logged in, because we need a value to an identifier to represent the data. In this case, as the email is something that can change or something that is potentially not stable, but the user profile is, because it means that you created an account in the VTEX environment, like on the store, actually store. So that's why we're using it to store the data. And now, lastly, I wanted to showcase that you could give more flavor to applications by creating actually an admin panel for your own settings. In this case, instead of just doing a JSON schema and using the app's account settings to manage settings, you could potentially create your own entry on the admin panel. Sorry, this is the old panel, but it works the same for the new one. And in this case, you can leverage the use of the full VTEX style guide to create your own settings. In this example, how you select the strategies is a VTEX component that, look at this, when you change, you also the information, the help text changes. This is something that sadly with the My App settings is something we cannot control, right? Because it's like automatic. So for example, you go to an extension, usually this is set it up as settings schema, or the configurations builder is a little more, it's easier. Also, it's something that if your application only lives as an app store application, that's also possible. But it's really neat. Yeah.
What you're saying is that VTEX IO gives you the flexibility to, like, hey, do I need to extend a client? I can do it. Do I want to create a backend service? I can do it. Do I want to create a front-end component? Sure. Do I want to create an admin? Do I want to add a new admin option? And can I add settings? And there's a bunch of possibilities, right? That's
totally. Because remember that we are not constrained to only the examples we have in GitHub, like the service example. It's not that you need to follow 100% on the architecture of the examples. You can leverage every bit of the infrastructure a VTEX account gives you. That's the really cool thing about it.
Really nice. And is this code for cross-device cart available for folks to test out right now?
Yes, totally. This is in VTEX apps as the cross-device card. It has the information here that it's enabled logged-in users to retrieve the last card information and how it works, because sadly there is no way to I believe everyone knows about the challenges. There is a way of putting blocks as challenges for a whole page, so it will be easier to manage something that runs every time. But sadly, there is no way to define an application as a layer to do this. So we're just putting
as children, right?
a children of the header, for example. So it's the first thing that renders in a store, like here.
That's the pop-up that asks you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you set it as automatic, there is nothing being rendered. So everything happens like without something being rendered.
It's an invisible component, but it's affecting the behavior, right?
Yeah. But the difference is if you go manual, where you declare the children is where the action bar will be rendered.
Got it. So interesting solution. And one thing, just to give more context to those of you who don't know what challenge is, it's just something that can run on your store before everything else. For instance, if you have a B2B store and you want only logged in users to be able to see that, then the challenge is what you'd use to kind of check if the person is allowed to visit, right, Santia? Or am I confusing the concept?
No, totally that. The thing is, a challenge renders first before everything else, so you have the chance to minimize the TIT for the actual application to run its code, right? Because I don't want the order form to be replaced 10 seconds after I enter the page, because I'm rendering the application somewhere else that it's not being hydrated. That's why we want it to be the first thing. Like, this is a code that is being executed on the front end because we are editing the cookie. And the only one that could potentially edit the cookie is a request from the client. So then the client sets its own cookie. But we need to manage also the items. That's why we also needed the service. That was our problem, because there is something specific, because I don't know if anyone knows about this, but in CMS legacy, I don't have right now a store in legacy, but you could potentially imagine this one is a legacy one, but you could potentially pass a query on the URL called order form, I believe, and the number of the order form you wanted, and this automatically will pull the order form to your session. But sadly, this only works for legacy. This is how the social selling app works. I don't know if anyone knows about it, but
I wrote the documentation for that, so I know about it. But I know the folks might not be aware.
Like the social selling app works inside the checkout, because the checkout V6 and V5 are still like the legacy environment, but it doesn't work in IO because sadly the rewriter is, I don't know, not parsing the query, but it should be like, we wanted first to use the rewriter to manipulate the order form, to know beforehand, before rendering the page, that you had a different order form. But this was the solution we had for maintaining one order form for a client, and it's pretty fast. It takes 3 seconds, 4 seconds after the page loads, but after that, it's only one time, because your session will have the new order form until you delete the cookies, because
automatically.
Yeah. So the first time you will see like a hiccup where the site is processing that you are logged in. You have I'm calling the GraphQL endpoint and saying, hey man, this user, does he have an order form? Yes or no? So it's a lot of process behind that clogs the time a little, but it's the first time. And
it's very useful, right? You can provide that. I know I've been in some certain situations where I was browsing through a store on my computer and I had to go out to lunch, but I wasn't done with my order. I wanted to complete the order on my cell phone. That would be so convenient.
But imagine this, because this was created with supermarkets in mind. Imagine you have an application for wish lists and not wish list, but the buy list. Imagine you have 80 products, 10 bananas, 100 apples.
Shopping
and
lists, that's
shopping
huge.
list.
They're usually huge, right?
This is huge. So imagine I go to my phone and, man, I need to do it all over again. No, that's the beauty of being able to allow the user to log in and recover the items. But it's not only the items, because we also need to play by the rules of every other interaction an order form has. So, for example,
mini cart,
promotion. No, yeah, but if I only manage items, I'm overlooking, for example, promotions or coupons or whatever that the user needs to be. We need to tell the user that is happening. So we didn't want to manage everything. So replacing the order form itself made a lot more sense, right? That's why our
everything
choice.
comes out of the box, right? Automatic. All you need to do is just make sure that the right order form is loaded.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I think that's what we have for today, Santiago. I'd really like to thank you for the demo. I learned a lot. I'll be definitely checking out the code. Let me share again the repository. So it's right here if you guys want to check it out. Add some issues, add PRs. It's open source, so feel free to learn and send your questions over, right, Santiago?
The good thing is that there is not a lot of code. The application is super simple. That's a good thing.
Another learning opportunity. You can check out how to use VBase, how do you extend, check out client, everything. I'll definitely
it has a lot.
dive deeper there.
Events that you also, that's pretty cool, because you could create your own events. That's another thing.
Yeah, really nice. Thanks a lot for your presentation, Santiago. It's really enlightening, and you're always free to come back.
Thank you. I will.
All right, so I'll move on to the final part of this office hours. Just a quick reminder that you can also present here in office hours. So if you have something you'd like to show, please fill in this form, community.vtex.com/office hours global. That's what we have for today. I'll be seeing you next month, maybe answering some Ask the Community questions. Alex will probably be back here as your host. But I hope you enjoyed this time with us together. And yeah, that's what we have. See you next time.